And welcome back. Here we are, back in town again.
Ah, the old tournament board. Don't know why I need this, but that's never stopped me before.
Look at the town has improved a little bit. It's gotten brighter and more colorful. I think that's wonderful. Here's just subtle little background noises, background part of the music, so that the town has improved.
The tree had grown. The branches had filled out. It was looking good.
Mm-hmm. Gave Aaron time of prosperity. So, when I said that, for the most part, this chapter is mostly less about your virtues and more so about your affinity with the ladies, I wasn't technically wrong, but there are some exceptions. This being one of them, and it's a big one. So, here's the thing. All three of these characters are going to dispense advice. All three of these characters are perfectly viable for getting advice. Sometimes they're a little bit more funny, sometimes a little bit more serious. Some I feel bit better narratively than others. However, I do have my preferences. I do have my preferred path. And that's probably pretty obvious by now. And the reason why in the world I'm so wishy-washy about this is, unfortunately, because you are seeking out your mentor. Or at least the person that you want to be your mentor. And mechanically speaking, this will lock you in to a certain route. So, for example, as much as I absolutely love some of the Maya here, how it fits narratively really, really well, and it could allow me to talk about the King's Quest II manual, which I feel like this scene is entirely in defiance of, whereas Graham doesn't necessarily. Okay, let me explain about what I mean by that. See, in the King's Quest II manual, until he sees Valnice in the mirror, Graham is lonely, and he's a bit worried about that. And he gets a vision in the magic mirror of King Edward's ghost, telling him, you should marry, you should have an heir, make sure that Daventry is prosperous. This is only after about a year or so after he's gotten the crown. So, they all decide to hold a ball for every single eligible bachelorette in the kingdom. And I do mean everybody. There are so many ladies. They're fair and dark, fat or thin, poor and rich, everywhere surrounding Daventry, even within the even the ladies are invited. Even the servant girls are invited. And they all kind of want something out of our dear king. And all of them are flawed in some fashion. And Graham is so tired by the end of that week. And he's very despairing. Until he finds Valnice in the mirror. Discovers how perfect that she is. She is without flaw. She's beautiful. She's graceful. And that's exactly what he wants. He wants someone who is kind, first and foremost. Someone who can comfort him and be a friend to him. He wants someone with wisdom and who knows how to counsel people. And of course, he wants her to be likable, of course. Yeah. And I feel like the Amaya scene here is meant to reflect back on that and reference back to that. But instead of having Graham be frustrated by those flaws, Amaya actually asks him, what sort of flaws could you love? What could you learn to love? Or some flaws that you can actually live with? I think that's a really, really good scene, and I wish I could talk about it. I wish I could actually show it to you. But I can't. Because we are on a particular route. If I do that, I will no longer be King Grenda. I will no longer be King Grenda Compassionate. I will be King Grenda Brave. And I don't want to be King Grenda Brave. And it will lock me into that route, even though I don't want it to be. So, we will instead go with the scene that I was foreshadowed a little bit earlier. No, not the fact that their stuff is broken. That's what Amaya would get you, an actual wrench. And actually, that whole scene back in chapter 1 where I mentioned that that doesn't have a consequence of Graham becoming her apprentice. I wish that was brought back up here, but it's not, and it bothers me. Because she asks him at the very end, like, sure, what size are the bolts? And he says, the twisty kind? And I wished that if you did actually take the apprenticeship from her, that you could have had a different line. I don't know, maybe specify or something. But here's the thing, even though I like Amaya's scene the best, the other two scenes that you get are still very, very good. Very, very nice. And they also all dispense decently good advice. And acorns are just funny. Let me show you what I mean. Hey!
Graham, good to see you.
Oh, it's been a while.
Hey, Wenty! Bramble! Where's Taylor?
I'm right here.
He's at home, probably cutting up our curtains again.
Huh?
Why, when I was that boy's age, I would roll dough for hours every day after school in me ma's shop. But not my boy. He doesn't have the stomach for hard work.
Or the stomach for sweets. Can you imagine an 8-year-old not liking sweets? Oh, it's not like frosting's an acquired taste.
Ah, well, he's just on a different path, I guess.
Oh, I just hope the path of his shears doesn't cross with me duvet cover ever
Oh,
again.
come on, little boo. Mr. Fancy Cakes looked fabulous in that velvet floral tuxedo.
Ooh,
And
they did.
misty stitches from the heart. Now, Graham, what can we do you for?
So, I actually don't have much time, and no possible way to explain why, so I'll just come right out and ask. I need advice. I may have met someone. Or someone's. How do I know if she is the one?
Well, it's like I always say. Compassion comes from...
The heart. All you need is pie. I know. I mean, I do. Look, these bakery puns are becoming stale, and honestly, the yeast of my worries. I need to rise to the occasion. It's all or muffin.
Excuse me.
Glorious.
I've got something in my rye.
All right, you two. You're baking me crazy. Now, Graham, if you don't mind, can I answer your question with a question?
Proceed.
Now, it might sound cliché, but just like our spiniferous thornweed pie, real love isn't about the outside. It's what's baked in the gooey center that counts. Have you discussed
And hugs.
What?
Lots of hugs.
Wenty, don't you hug everything?
What? No,
You're hugging yourself right now.
I am not.
Sorry. We've been working on that. He's only supposed to hug things that give him joy.
But Bramble, everything gives me joy.
Wenty, we've been over this. I don't think that vagrant skunk brought you joy.
It did. I have a problem. Hug.
Oh, later, Sugarbum. Gram still needs our advice.
Well, if you had to pick your top 2 core values, what would you say you are looking for in a companion?
I would say...
Well, I guess technically speaking, this is also kind of a reference towards the manual in a way, because this is less talking about flaws and more so talking about what you're looking for in a wife. And that's exactly what Graham wants out of the potential ladies that he encounters in the manual too. And Valanice hits all those points. This will also have an effect later on.
affection. I buffed up these arms for snuggling.
Good for you.
And hugs. Oh, and also... honesty is a big deal for me. I've dealt with a few squaddle nogs in the past, and I want to be able to fully trust the person I end up with.
Exactly.
The spell. It's kicking in. It's going to pull me back.
Spell? Oh, what have you gotten yourself into?
I'll have to explain later. Oh, I could also use a recipe. You got one I could borrow?
Oh, of course. Sweet or savory?
Huh.
I wish on my I got a similar choice. Well, how in the world you would do that just by looking at loot and like there's no bolts really on a loot, but puzzle box there would be.
Sweet.
Let's see here. I have ban apple, sugar shroom, cocamel, sweet butter brickle, starberry, and choco nut creme pie.
I only need one recipe.
That was one.
Oh God!
Here, sweetheart. This beginner's recipe should be a bit simpler to make.
Thank you.
All right. You have 10 seconds. Go.
Oh, I am glad we got to catch up. But I didn't get to thank him for the popover. Do you think he would turn up again soon? The next time we see him, we should...
And you're done.
All right.
Oh. Hug.
Hug.
Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. It'd been a minute since I last saw that scene. And in my testing file, that's what I did. I did the Maya, and I was disappointed in the fact that it switched me over to Brave Run when I wasn't wanting it to. Oh, what do we have? Strawberry cream pie. Okay. I assume we cannot. Nope. Once you make your choice, it's locked in. Makes sense. Don't mind me. Yeah. Oh.
No way.
I told you no detail would be overlooked. Underneath Manny's mask was the face of a goblin.
Nice twist.
Yeah. So, that puts a lot of things that I've said or implied or we've seen in previous chapters in perspective, doesn't it? And I do apologize for those of you who've been following so far for accidentally spoiling this twist. That was on me. I apologize. I misspoke. I should have said something different instead when I talked about the book that Manny wrote back in the previous chapter. I do apologize. Oh my goodness. Hang on, before we do this. Oh, that is gorgeous. Oh, that's beautiful.
All right, sweet. Here we go.
Nice. And in case you're curious, the thing that you would get from Acorn would actually be a nice hand knitted blanket, which is just a nice little thing to give. Here you go, sweetheart.
I whipped this up special for you.
Sweet! My favorite! Thank you!
Welcome.
I fixed the loot. Would you like a lesson?
I would love to.
Here. Now repeat after me. Now you try. Wonderful! Great! Wonderful! You're a quick learner.
Well, that was cute.
Could you play me a melody to help me sleep? How about something with a bow and some strings?
Who said violins? Doesn't solve anything.
I was slightly disappointed there was no mention of me that night.
Grandpa, boys aren't the only things the girls talk about.
I learned that lesson long ago.
Good for you.
Oh, someone's at the door. Just a moment. Be there in a jiffy.
Agatha,
Well.
it's been forever. You're looking... Agatha, so nice to see you.
Morden, your English is coming along superbly.
Morden.
Well, thanks for noticing.
Care to join me for a spot of tea?
Now, Agatha, I know better than to set foot inside this tower, but I do appreciate the invitation.
You never know. You might like it better in here. The view is quite nice, and if it ever rains, we move.
I grew up in a cave, so I'm fine with a small, cold room with a view of rubble.
Are
Speaking
you?
of small and cold, please tell him to be careful with this.
The message will be received.
I'm serious, Morden. I've spent my life coated in a thin layer of cosmolotion. It's a potion. It's not a panacea.
Duly noted. Oh, I almost forgot. He wanted to return this book he borrowed. Said he doesn't need it anymore.
Ah, yes. How to Tame Your Dragon. Did you ever find Hornswoggle?
It'll return when it's tired of feeding off werebears and lost travelers.
A balanced breakfast indeed. Ha! Good day, Morden. It's always a pleasure.
The pleasure has been mine. Fare thee well, Agatha.
One night, Agatha invited us all to her pretty princess ball. I was nervous and excited.
Tonight we shall have our pretty princess ball. It will be everything we've always dreamed of. Faster now! No! Again! Not graceful. That's not a princess move. It's turn, turn, twist. Not twist, turn, turn.
Very old-fashioned, aren't you?
That was really lovely. Thanks, Hagatha. And Princess Graham, of course.
Thanks to you.
Oh, what a glorious evening. Oh, thank you, ladies, for a wonderful ball. I wish it would never end. Perhaps it shouldn't.
It was at that moment Hagatha realized she had everything she wanted inside the tower. Her happy ending was right in front of her. She would freeze time to keep that moment forever.
I wonder if I can make a large enough batch of frost tonic.
You and Graham are so sweet.
Shh! Oh, hush up.
That night,
Aw,
that
she ships
nervous
up. That's
anxiety
cute.
turned to happy butterflies. I went to bed with a smile on my face. I had won some favor with Hagatha, and she sent me on a special mission.
Princess Graham, the time has come. I have a very special mission for you. This magic won't last long, but I need you to bring me back the keys of harmony. Your spell will teleport you back here once you picked it up. I need to make sure I can trust you.
Uh-oh. Oh, maybe you can do that later?
You know, Grandpa, I think you told me this part. Are you sure you're not getting the stories mixed up again?
Sadly, this is not a senior moment, I'm afraid.
Oh, here we are back here again.
The room seemed lonelier without the loud rumbling of a certain dragon's snore. I hope that beast was enjoying his freedom. What a comfortable bed.
Yeah.
That helmet sounds familiar.
As it should.
Yeah.
Those potions smelled pungent and acidic, but oddly familiar.
Oddly familiar. Huh?
Huh. Someone fancied himself quite the storyteller.
Yeah, in case you haven't figured it out already, this is Manny's lair. He's been living down here for I want to say upwards of 15 years at this point. He's been down here for a while.
The book collection had grown over the years. The sorcery of old looked like a new edition.
Yeah, remember that for foreshadowing for later. And Manny being here, this being his bedroom / I guess office, that kind of puts into perspective all those little lamps, all those little books and doors and little goblin lairs we saw everywhere around in the well. Who was the one setting up all those traps? Who was the one who was setting up all those bridges and making sure that the goblins were stealing all those beds and buckets and butter churns and all of those? That was all him. He set this up. He has led so many people to die down here in the well. He's led us to nearly be killed. And he knew that we would step up to the chance and do something about that dragon. He probably doesn't really care about that dragon, to be honest. He doesn't really care about the fact that he lost the mirror. Because he has plans within plans, wheels within wheels, doesn't he? He's a master manipulator. Any wonder that he was able to sway everyone to his side.
Teaching English as a second language.
And Morden, well, we know who Morden was. We know for a fact that Morden was the big and tall, lanky goblin that we saw back in Chapter 2 that we helped out briefly.
The room seemed lonelier without the loud rumbling of it.
I thought there was going to be a little bit more dialogue there because there's not a bookshelf over there, but I guess not. Well.
Intriguing. A book titled How to Read.
I mean, if it's like a children's book, like a phonics book, it potentially could help. Maybe.
Oh, there was a quote on the back. Irresistible from front to back. I couldn't get enough of this book. The dangling participle.
Obvious King Chris 6 reference. I think that's technically a dangling participle in that sentence, isn't it? Unfortunately, grammatical terms, unfortunately, is not exactly my forte. We can still do that, I see. But why?
You're slouching
Uh-oh.
again. Try to stand up straighter.
And then I hid again.
Uh-oh. Hi, guys!
Intruder!
Be gone!
Oh!
Huh. Inconceivable.
You know, Grandpa,
You're slouching again. Try to stand up straighter.
And then I hid again.
Bring it over here.
How did
It'll
I
take
not
all
notice
night
you?
to prepare.
Must we go through with this? After gazing upon Hagatha's face, I question the validity of that elixir.
Hagatha's enchantments are stunted by the tower she locked them away in. Out here, with a little air, this sorcery can reach its full potential.
Not
We'll
even
have to
subtle
let
with that
this sit
interview.
overnight. For now, we sleep.
I want to voice my concerns again, brother.
You, of all people, should know what it's like to wear a mask all your life. A scarf that obscures your vision. A helmet that hides your face.
This body has taken my mind as far as it can go. Now, good night. Please snuff the torch.
Our parents were wrong to hide you from the world, but at least they didn't forget about you. No, instead they fed you, they read to you, they raised you as their own. I was a whipping boy for 16 years. For what? A stupid goblin prank?
Watch your tongue, brother. You're beginning to sound like a human.
He is.
A silly goblin took you in from the cold. A dull goblin taught you to read, and a stupid goblin gave you a second chance at life.
Please forgive me. I misspoke.
Am I wrong to believe that the mind is what should matter? Is my trust in brains over brawn misplaced? I've dedicated my life to prove that, given the right resources, our species is capable of higher thought. And that even a silly little goblin can lead this kingdom. That's the change I want to inspire. That's the progress Daventry needs.
You're right as always. And the Cosmolotion is the only way around your banishment from King Graham.
King Graham? King Graham was a fluke. We'd already be at the castle toasting to our divine intellect if it wasn't for that bumbling, red-nosed, feathered half-wit. Did I ever tell you he asked what my availability for sleepovers was? Moron.
Hey, I am not a fluke!
Yeah!
Gads.
Did you really just say that?
Well, don't just stand there. Grab him.
So, I'm pausing on purpose because we're going to have another cutscene in a few seconds. So, keeping with that scene, and the reveal that Manny was a goblin this entire time, and basically manipulating not just human people, but also his own people, technically. And keeping with the fact that he says that particular line, our species is capable of greater thought, of higher thought. We've heard that line before. We've heard it implied before and stated outright before. Manny brought up, back in Chapter 1, that goblins are smarter than they look. He himself is a goblin, so he should know. But, back in Chapter 2, Muriel, at the end of her quest line, says, "Ugh, your species is capable of higher thought, and that's a fact." Now, how does she know that? Does she have experience with that? Does she know other goblins personally? And she knows for a fact that they can be better? And what of that Chapter 1 line that I told you to remember? That idle conversation about their son. After all, he reminds me of our son. I always miss him that time of year. He wanted to be a knight too. I wish he would visit more. Or at least write. He was quite helpful around the shop though, especially with potions. And Graham mentions that the potion pot over there smells acidic and pungent and familiar. It could technically be referring back to, say, for example, hypnotic powder, which Graham, in this timeline at least, is also familiar with. But it could also be referring to, say, for example, the Hobbleputts and their brews. And there's also the fact that Manny has a jar of eyes that he submits for his eye quest in Chapter 1. And I mentioned earlier, back in Chapter 1, that if you did go on a brave run And instead of taking out the dragon's eye, you instead got a slightly longer version of the scene where Graham gives up, and Manny decides to give you one of his eyes from the jar. And if you take it back to Muriel, she says, "Hey, that's one of ours. Where did you get that?" And we know for a fact that the eyes are on back order, meaning probably a lot of them were probably bought early for whatever purpose. So how did he manage to get that? So, keeping with what we know for a fact that according to the old transcript for Chapter 2, the lost lore for baby goblins is the fact that they rarely cry. They're always obedient, and they're usually exchanged in exchange for fussy babies. Babies that refuse to sleep are generally irritable, and when you have no choice, you seek out the fairies, and they exchange it for the child. That's obviously what happened to Manny and Morden here. So keeping with all that, it has always been my belief that the Howpot's son is Manny, and they exchanged Morden for him. Now, before we continue, I do not believe that this discredits the Howpots and makes them be bad people. It does not have to be that the only reason why in the road you would exchange a baby is because it's bothering you, like they're fussy and colicky and all that. It could very well been for a number of reasons. Morden might not even be directly their kid. He might be their grandson, and maybe they lost his mother or father at some point. And every time they looked at Morden, they just saw a reflection of their grief of someone they lost. Maybe he was sick, and they couldn't care for him, and they thought, well, we still want to raise a child, but we can't help him, and nothing we're doing is working. It doesn't have to be evil. It doesn't have to mean that they're all jerks. It just means that this situation is just a little bit more nuanced. For all we know, how do we know for a fact that they did reach out and go to the forest themselves? This is, after all, a goblin prank. How do we know for a fact that goblins didn't sneak into their house at some point and swap the babies? You know, the typical tale of changelings. And they either didn't notice or just didn't really mind. Or they did mind, but the exchange had already been done. And once it had been done, they can't go back. Meaning they would have to put up with that. So that's something that's been building up for a while. Thank you for allowing me to actually finally say that, because that's been building up for a while, and I have been waiting and anticipating in order to keep watch on this scene. And now let's continue on to something a little bit more lighthearted, shall we?
Stay right there. Don't move. Gwendolyn and I are working on your surprise.
I won't peek. I can't wait to see what it is. Oh, Gwendolyn, your lunch is ready, and your cousin is waiting.
Thanks, Grandma.
Love, have you been taking all your medicines?
I'm not sure what good they're doing. I'm still stuck in this bed.
Yes, you are. You're still here.
You know what I meant. It's just that I'm going stir-crazy in here, and I don't even want to think about all the addendums that still need approvals.
Everything is taken care of, but you need to rest before you feel better.
I'll rest after your birthday. I still have to prep your special batch of chocolate chip pancakes.
Aww.
Oh, you have baked those pancakes for my birthday for as long as I can remember.
And I've truly savored each and every bite, dear, but maybe this is the year to teach the children your recipe. And you just enjoy eating breakfast with me.
Nothing is going to stop me from baking those pancakes. Not even this broken arm.
Well, you won't get any further argument from me. Now, can you please take your medicines? They'll make you feel better on your next inspiring adventure.
All right, fine. I'll take them. And I love you. You have always.
This will also affect something later down the line. We've always had a caring.
You always find a perfect way to say things to make me feel better.
Oh, that was sweet. I love you too, dear.
And with that, I think that's where we're going to end things off for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you again soon. Next time, we continue on our adventure. See if we can't build a little more affinity. The next sequence here is going to be very, very fun.